And he says this to Charles Barkley. You're a big guy, carry your own fucking clubs.
There was another golf tournament that I've heard you tell a couple stories about. Obviously, the other great one, not in hockey, but in basketball, would be Michael Jordan.
Right.
He's had some golf tournaments of his own. I know that you've been around for those tournaments as well, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of the stuff we did work for, and these are big, expensive tournaments, but I was such a big avid golfer that I would contra stuff for it. So
Sure.
Michael Jordan had a big tournament at Lionhead, like major celebrities in it. And it was a celebrity pro-am. So Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Clark Gillies, who I ended up playing with, great golfer, great guy. But this, as the story goes, so they provided caddies for all the celebrities, and they wanted good caddies. So there was a friend of ours, or a friend of, I was working with Labatt at the time, and one of their reps, and I can't remember the fellow's name, got assigned to be Charles Barkley's caddy.
Now, was he a caddy or was he?
No, he was a scratch golfer.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Toronto doesn't have a lot of caddies
Right.
anymore. It's like it's not like the private clubs in
Sure.
the States. But they, when the time comes, they hire somebody that really knows the game,
Right.
knows the course, and they hired this guy.
Now, was this something where you, as a part of being a member at the tournament, would you have had to have been a scratch golfer, or he just so happened to be one who could also kind of be?
No,
a good caddy?
when they were looking for caddies for the celebrities, they wanted to make sure that these guys had a quality guy on the bag.
This wasn't Labatt saying, you've sold X amount, here's your reward, you're going on. Like he was sought out to be a caddy for this.
Well, it's kind of a little bit of both. It was, they knew who the great golfers were within the company. They were a sponsor of the tournament. The tournament was looking for caddies, so it's kind of like one hand washes the other. So this guy got the caddy for Charles Barkley, and he was kind of excited about that. Young guy, but good golfer. So they get out. Anybody see Charles Barkley ever play golf? He's got the weirdest swing.
We've seen him swing clubs. I don't know if you'd call it playing golf.
Oh, it's just it's the most bizarre swing ever. But he manages to connect.
Yeah.
Okay, he's an athlete and he can connect, but he's not a great golfer, but he thinks he is. And he'd be the first to admit that. Anyway, so as the story goes, and I heard this firsthand, he's playing around and the guy starts watching his swing and saying, okay, how far? And Charles would say, how far are we? And he'd say 150 yards, sir. And he'd go, you just call me Charles. And then he'd go, what do you think? And he says, well, I think based on your swing, you need a 7-iron. I says, no, I can hit it with a 9-iron. I don't think you can hit it with a 9-iron.
Right.
And sure enough, right into the pond, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on and on for about 12 or 15 holes. And now this guy's getting really frustrated because every time he recommends a club, Barkley just goes, nah, what are you talking about? I can do this. And he hits a shitty shot.
Right.
So finally they get to one hole, I don't know what it is, about 160 yards over the water to the green. And he says, what do you think I should have? So why are you asking me? He says, well, what do you think I should have? And he gets a little snooty, Charles. And he goes, well, he says, based on what I've seen, he says 160 yards, you're probably looking at about a 5-iron. Don't be ridiculous, he says. I can hit that green. Sure enough, he picks his own club with a 9-iron and right into the drink. And the guy looks at it, and he looks at it and says, what the hell? Barkley's swearing. The other guy looks at him, throws the bag down on the ground, and says, you get your own fucking clubs and carry them yourself. He says, I'm walking out of here. And he says this to Charles Barkley. Barkley looks at him and breaks out laughing. He's in hysterics. And he says, what are you doing? He says, I've been telling you every club to use, and I've been right every time, and you're wrong every time. You don't listen. You don't need me. He said, you're a big guy. Carry your own fucking clubs. So Barkley, he can't stop laughing. He said, wait, come back here. So the guy comes back. He says, what do you want? He says, you carry my bag the rest of the way. Every time you recommend a club, I'll use it.
Yeah.
Okay? They finish the 5 or 6 more holes. They go into the clubhouse, and he's still laughing. Barkley's still laughing. He says, come in. You're coming in with me. You're going to have some drinks. So he says, well, caddies aren't allowed in the clubhouse. He says, you're coming with me. Nobody's stopping me. So he goes in, and he sits down with the guy, and they have a few drinks. long story short, they became best friends. Charles would invite him down to Las Vegas. This guy didn't have a lot of money. He just got married a few years back. He had some kids, I think. And he'd fly him down to Vegas to just sit and tell him stories, and they were best friends.
That's amazing.
A couple of years after that, into that relationship, the guy gets cancer.
Oh.
And I was telling a story to a friend of mine who's bald, because the way this story came up was, he says, I try and shave my head, and the first time I did it, I had blood all over the place, and I'm walking around with all. And he says, I said, well, the first time I saw somebody shave their bald head, it was Charles Barkley, and that got me in this story. And it turned out that when he passed away, the family didn't have a lot of money. Charles ran a golf tournament at Scarborough, which again I found a way into. And I came into after showering, and there's Charles shaving his head. But he came up personally to run the golf tournament. I think they raised some big money for this guy, and he still support the family. That's the kind of guy Charles Barkley was.
I mean,
know because you spent the night with him in other golf tournaments.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Sign Off, a Frameworth podcast. Just a reminder that we have full episodes of the Sign Off available wherever you get your podcasts, on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Make sure to like and subscribe on whichever platform you use. You can find us on Twitter at Frameworth Sport or on Instagram at Frameworth Sports. And hey, if you're not sick of me yet, you can find me on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey. Finally, feel free to send us emails with your questions you want us to answer on the show, and we may feature you live. You can do that by sending your emails to signoffpod@frameworth.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you with a new episode every single Thursday.